What's going on, y'all? This gonna be a topic that's gonna hit home for a lot of people. Um, Not only hit home, but just hit a little bit different. So, yesterday was my mother's death anniversary. Now, as y'all know, a lot of people handle death differently. A lot of people handle life differently. So, this is gonna be my topic video of how to deal with death, grief, depression, emotional discomfort, anger, and emotional trauma. A lot of y'all may not like what I have to say, but when you watch this video, if you don't like my voice, if you don't like what I have to say, continue to scroll. But if you do, fucks with the channel, drop a subscribe, drop a like, and drop a comment. Let's get into this topic. Now, when we speak about depression, death, life, grief, emotional trauma, emotional discomfort, you're talking about emotions that are built up because of loss, emotions that are built up because of being angry, emotions that occur during the time of grief, which could lead to crying, self harm, suicidal thoughts, being in a sort of world where you have to use drugs to cope, where you have to drink to cope, where you have to smoke weed continuously to cope. And that's not healthy. Um, it's not healthy because one, it deteriorates your skin. You see your skin. My skin is clear. I don't got no needles. My skin is clear. But these types of trauma, this type of grief, death in general, emotional discomfort, emotional trauma can lead you down a very dark path. And here are my key things to help you get through those times of grief, times of depression, times of emotional trauma, discomfort, maybe a death in the family, and help you live your life in a better way. The first thing I would like to say, if you're dealing with a death in the family, if you're dealing with grief after a death in the family, or if you're dealing with emotional trauma, emotional discomfort from a situation you have gone through, if you're dealing with depression from a situation you have gone through, one, the main thing is to seek a therapist. Now, y'all gonna be like, oh, why seek a therapist? I can handle this on my own. Drinking has always helped. Smoking has always helped. Me sitting back in my own thoughts, writing stuff out has always helped. No. You're gonna go through so many phases of different types of grief, depression, emotional discomfort, and trauma, dealing with all your emotions, that you need to seek help. Matter of fact, it's recommended in books and by therapists after you deal with a death and you're grieving, or when you go through an emotional state situation or emotional trauma situation, you seek a therapist. The reason why I say seek a therapist is because that therapist is going to be your output, so that way you can focus on the next stages. The next stages would be dealing with your anger, finding a source of an outlet for your anger besides verbally being able to express yourself. Now, A lot of people resort to games to relieve their anger. A lot of people resort to drinking to relieve their anger. A lot of people resort to drugs to relieve their anger. Self harm, basically hurting their immune system, hurting their kidneys, hurting their heart, hurting their liver. Self harm. That's not what you're supposed to do. There are multiple places you can go to relieve that anger. You have construction sites. Well, not construction sites, but there are places where you can go sign up, relieve your anger. Take a hammer to hit the wall. Um, there are boxing classes you can go to. There are karate classes you can go to relieve, learn a sense of balance. So that way you can not only relieve your anger, but gain balance. Boxing is a form of relieving anger. When you go to a demolition site and you take a hammer to a wall, there are places where you can pay to take a hammer to a wall and you can destroy a whole wall with one hammer. And you can take as many hours as you want as long as you pay that fee. Um, then there is, like I said, karate, and grounding yourself with meditation. Those are all healthy ways to not self harm and self inflict yourself and put yourself in an array of discomfort. When you're dealing with these stages of grief, emotional trauma, emotional discomfort, depression, and it can also be a good outlet for you to do continuously. Now, I'm going to give you a few home key things you can do. Work out. Ooh, work out in the sense of set a workout schedule. Instead of self inflicting harm upon yourself, set a workout schedule. Do jogs around the block. Go to a park where there is a track and run track. That's not taking self infliction harm upon yourself, but you're working out your muscles and you're learning to channel your anger, your depression, your self frustration, and your emotional discomfort with things through a positive output. Do push ups, do squats, work on your body core instead of self harm and self inflict yourself. It's also good to have friends, people that you can trust. Now, if you don't have no friends, no one you can trust, because people are wicked out here, you feel that your friends are taking your trust for granted, your loyalty for granted, or you just can't trust people around you when you're in this mode, then it's good to take the tips and advice I have given you. Now, here are some of the things you shouldn't do when dealing with these stages of grief, death, emotional trauma, emotional discomfort, and life itself. First thing is, do not drink your emotions away. Number two, do not chain smoke your emotions away. Those two things will kill your liver, your heart, your kidney, your body failure, will lead also to body disarray. Another thing you would not want to do is lash out publicly, so that way you don't ruin your public image if you care about that. Another thing you would not want to do is be verbally abusive to your family members and loved ones, which can happen during any one of those things that I said, because as you know, when you deal with grief, when you deal with death, emotional trauma, emotional discomfort, you can lash out at not only your family members, but your friends, people that are closest to you. Another thing I would like to say is do not go on social media and post every little thing on social media. That is about the key thing you do not want to do, because that makes you look weak. It will make you look like you need you need support from people on social media that really will just give their condolences, wish you prayers, inbox you how you're doing, but there are only few real ones that will come to your need of aid. There are only few real ones that will come to your need of assistance. The most they'll do on social media is comment my condolences. I really say a prayer for you. You know, they'll probably jump in your DM and be like, hey, listen, if you need someone to speak to, But the reason why I say don't go to social media so much is because so many people watch social media that they look at it as a game. They look at it as a way of prying on people's emotions. What I mean by prying is you're prying off the negativity that they're going through and you're watching it, but you're not really saying nothing, if you get what I mean. Those are things you don't want to do. So as you said, you know, as I said, self-harm, the drinking and smoking, the consistent toxicity to your human body, that's one. Social media, that's two. Lashing out at your friends and family, people closest to you, those are three. Three key things that even your therapist, when you go speak to them regarding these issues, will say, do not do. Because, like I said, it's unhealthy. It is the unhealthiest way to deal with those emotions that can lead you down a spiraling dark path. A couple of more key things I would like to say that even a therapist would say, and if you read, books, in books, it won't really highlight it, but in little subliminal ways, it will show or explain to you not to do when you're going through these times of grief, death, emotional trauma, emotional discomfort, and life issues. Besides depression, is do not resort to your sexual instincts. Now, what I mean by that is, besides the, body decay and, taking substances to decay your body, posting on social media and attacking your friends and family members because of being in such a disarray, you can resort to giving in to your lustful sexual desires just to ease your pain, which is four. And that's a thing that men and women, matter of fact, all genders, do when they get in that emotional disarray. Besides those three things, they'll turn to that to ease their pain or to let off their pain. And that's also a sign of you needing, as I said, taking the proper measures to get proper help. Because when you lead yourself down these paths and you give in to these emotions, you give in to these desires, when you're under these influences, multiple bad things can happen, such as gaining an STD, um, having someone take advantage of your lustful sexual desires and taking advantage of your body. Also, you know, when these things happen, humans take advantage, period. So when you leave yourself open and vulnerable, when you're in this state of mind and you're in this state of emotion, note anything can happen, especially if you're under the influence. Anything can happen, which is the reason why I stated in the beginning of this video, seek a therapist, you know, take time to heed to your mental, take time to exercise, take time to find an outlet where you're able to relieve that anger. And a fifth thing, you would not want to do is take your emotions out in the game world. And a lot of people are going to look at me and say, oh, why that? Why the fifth thing, take your emotions and frustrations and anger and so much, energy out in the game world? Because people feel those emotions. You know, people actually can, sense things. Not everybody, but people can sense when you're in a sense of a ray of discomfort, especially when you go through a loss, in your emotional trauma, you're an emotional wreck, you're depressed. You take that outlet and you go into the game world. Things can be very, very, very sketchy. Things can get very chaotic. People can take your emotional disarray, your emotional discomfort, your emotional trauma, and what you're going through, and you being so pumped up full of anger, and take it the wrong way instead of, residing it properly. So those are five key things you don't want to do. You know, you don't want to take substance abuse to damage your liver, kidney, your body. You don't want to attack your friends and family, people closest to you, supporters, you know, anyone that's in your circle, because that can, show them a way like, hey, listen, we're trying to help you. Why are you attacking me for? You know, you don't want to do that. You don't want to post so much on social media, as I said, because you have pariahs out there that won't really come to your aid of help. You don't want to lead in and give in to those sexual, lustful desires and just having your body get taken advantage of, whether you're under the influence or not, going through these stages of emotions. And you don't want to take your anger out on the game world, whatever gameplay you do, whatever games you play, because it can lead to chaotic casualties. It can lead to chaotic events. It can lead to so many downhill spirals that you won't be able to control the outcome afterwards. Adding on to the positive things you can do besides seek a therapist, work out, meditate, find a place where you're able to relieve that anger, whether it be boxing, martial arts. Find a construction site where you can pay money to destroy a wall and damage a wall. You can cry. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, crying is weak. Crying is for, you know, the weak. Crying, doesn't help or solve everything. No, crying is a human emotion. Now, whoever says crying is for the weak, they need to take psychological classes. They need to take psychological therapy classes, they need to read psychology books, they need to speak to a psychologist, because obviously they need help with their human emotion side. They need help grounding that human emotion side. But crying is not for the weak. Crying actually helps. And after releasing those emotions, if you properly have the tools to handle your situation, whether you cry it out in front of your therapist or cry it out indoors, and you properly use the right tools, it can save you from those 5 things that we spoke about. Now, earlier in the video, we explained that we just finished celebrating our 2-year death of my mother. Now, a lot of people are gonna say, why celebrate? Why celebrate? Why not mourn? If you don't learn to embrace both life and death and give memory to those who have passed around you by celebrating and doing something special to memorize them by. Now, some people, when it comes to a mother or a grandmother, they blow up a blue balloon, a white balloon, they'll let it go with a note inside, they'll light a candle, they'll say a prayer at the end of the night, they'll cook a favorite meal that they used to cook with that mother figure, grandmother figure, or grandfather figure, and they'll just do something that they used to do. Binge watch movies, binge watch TV shows, do something positive. Now, for a father figure or a grandfather figure or a male figure, not female figure, but male figure, normally you let go of I don't know what type of color. Normally it's green. Normally it's whatever color, favorite color that male figure likes. They'll blow up that balloon. They'll light a candle. The same thing applies, for a female passing in that person's life. They'll say a prayer. They'll do that favorite activity. Some men, some people pour out a shot or leave a bottle out for that male figure that has passed, or father or grandfather figure. And those are proper celebrational ways to memorize and celebrate the death of someone that you have lost, instead of being so in your emotional rut and so emotionally damaged. Because let's be honest, they were put on this earth for a reason. They wouldn't want you crying and being so emotionally discomfort or emotionally destroyed, living out your every year that they have passed in such an array. They would want you doing something special for them, which is why we do little things. We, as in people such as myself, you know, people that mourn the death of someone we've lost and celebrate it in a different type of way, so that way we can memorize them and keep hold of those memories. Because if you do not keep hold of those memories, then you lose yourself and you lose your humanity, your humane ways of living, and you lose your sense of sight beyond your sense of grounding. Which is why when I say cherish your loved ones and cherish the people around you, and I made that video, I didn't make it so that way people can feel some type of way. I made it because that leans into this video right here that I'm making for y'all, and I'm making for those who watch. What I say may be a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, but I hope that this video finds a way to open up your eyes and people's eyes who view this video on dealing with their emotions, their grief, their life, death, emotional trauma, emotional past trauma, depression, whatever they're going through, and it helps them get through something that they have gone through. You know, it helps them level up to that next level where they need to be. Now, y'all drop a like, y'all subscribe to Nasty White Boy Inc. Y'all go subscribe to Nasty White Boy 420. Y'all go follow Nasty White Boy 1995 Instagram channel. And y'all drop a like for this video. Y'all drop a comment. And y'all stay safe. You know, y'all stay in a good positive spirit. Y'all take these advices that I give and y'all add it to your life instead of being such an emotional rut where you lose yourself, your self dignity, your self worth, and just losing the love that you have for yourself or what you do for yourself. Y'all stay nasty, y'all stay safe, y'all stay blessed, and you know, y'all tune in. Nasty White Boy Inc.